Welcome back aboard Puffin. So last week I managed to prepare the cockpit to be fiberglassed by sanding away the old gel coat and removing the supports underneath, ready for new supports. Make a start on fiberglassing, gluing the supports in. This week there is predictions for thunderstorms and a lot of rain, so I'm not sure how much fiberglassing I'm going to be able to get done inside the cockpit. I have got a tarpaulin to put up. Let's make a start, and the first thing is getting this tarpaulin up. So it's slightly embarrassing, but the one thing about having a boat that doesn't sail is that I've actually forgotten a lot of my knots. But I've actually found Animated Knots, which is a really good website. I'm practicing my knots on again. Obviously, a sailor doesn't go around saying, I don't know my knot, but if you want to keep it a secret, just go to that website and have a little look. They're really good. So now I've got the tarp installed, it's time to get started on the cockpit floor. So I just need to sand around the edge. So that's still got some paint on, I did forget about that. And I'm going to over drill these holes just to, rather than sand them, just to get rid of any silicone and any sort of residue, and fill, because I'm going to fill those with epoxy as well, and then sand down these supports and start fitting these back in. So I'm just going to use multi-tool, sand that down, and then we start looking at, once I've sanded these supports as well, then start looking at screwing these in and putting the thickened epoxy on. So as well as doing that and getting that prepped, I'm definitely going to need to tidy up as well. This is going to be my little work area. So what I've got here is the supports. Also got some Scotch pads, some warm water. So this is to get off the anime blush that you get. So I've got this, and I've also got the sander. Also going to wet sand these. So I haven't got any 80 grit, but I've got 120 grit. So these are all sanded, wiped down with acetone. Nice and dry. I've let them air a bit, and in here I've got all set up. So that triangular box is my piping bags, and so I've got the resin filler, some pots. I think that's everything I'm going to need. But next, what I'm going to need to do is measure where these are going. Originally I was just going to clamp these one by one, because I've only got a couple of clamps, but clamp these tight against the bottom to squeeze the thickened epoxy and like leave them to set. But I think with the time frame I've got, I'm going to screw these in tonight with the epoxy on to mechanically hold them there. So I've got some screws and everything there, but it does mean I'm going to have to drill holes. I didn't want to do that because I didn't really want to drill through the epoxy coating into the wood, but I think that's the only way I'm going to do it with a decent amount of time. So I'm going to have to mechanically hold them with screws, and that will allow it to set. And I can also put on this on top of the beams because they will be held with the screws as well, so it allowed me to do it all in one go with the thickened epoxy, let that set, and then it's just fiberglassing. But time to get on with that now. So I'm just going to do a quick test run because I haven't mixed filler in with epoxy yet. So I think that might be a bit too thick, but I think that's alright. Right, so I've got my little mixing bag with my thick epoxy in. Don't actually know if you can see this. Might actually have enough to do both on here. That wasn't actually as hard as what I thought it'd be. Actually still got loads left. And as a bonus, I think I've got enough to actually do the whole lot. How about that? So my first mix to do a job, and it is pretty much perfect amount. And here we have it all glued down. So just got to let this set overnight. It's getting a bit late now anyway, but hopefully that will set okay. As you can see, I filled in some of the holes with the first test mix I did. But I'm pretty chuffed with that because I was expecting to mix another batch for where this hatch goes down. So I don't want to weight that too much. I just pushed it down a little bit. I'm just going to make sure there's not loads and loads of squeeze out underneath. But I think that's that. It's just a case of waiting to see if it sets alright. So good news today. Got back to the boat and the glue's, or the thickened epoxy, has hardened. I'm a bit worried about doing this, but everything seems quite solid. There's still some flex even with the support just here, but that's obviously the widest point. So hopefully that will stop flexing as much once I've got thickened epoxy. That I've got to go all the way around here, around the edges. So I'm going to fill that with thickened epoxy, let that set, and then sand everything back a bit, and then start glassing. Hopefully I'm going to get the glassing done today. It depends how quickly the thickened epoxy sets, but I'll at least want to get that done so that it's all sealed in case we do get a really bad rain. So I did try getting in through here, but I couldn't. Realised these weren't even bolted on, so I undid those and that's right there, but that's all taped off now. So now it's time to get the thickened epoxy mix up and fill the rest of the holes. Got a thickened epoxy all round the edges, to fill that gap. So hopefully the tape underneath will hold, hopefully, and just let this cure, I suppose, before I start fiberglassing. So I managed to at least get the thickened epoxy around the edge, and I need to put those back on actually, I nearly forgot about that. But it's been so hot that it's set so quick. I did not fancy doing my first fiberglassing with glass on the like laying the mats and cloth on top in this heat, rushing it because it's setting so quick, with also thunderstorms later on. Clouds are starting to form now, so in a couple of hours I'm going to have thunderstorms as well. So I didn't really want my first ever fiberglassing to be so manic, and with the potential of it getting wet as well and not setting. But so far I'm happy. Be interesting to see with this rain if there's any water coming through still. Hopefully not, because I should have sealed it all up now. But yeah, just gave it a little tidy. Started doing the templates, and with that as well I'm going to start cutting the glass. Right, so I've given this a few wipe downs. I've moved the canopy to give it a bit more protection. Shouldn't be raining till 8 o'clock tonight, so hopefully I'm going to have enough time. But now it's time just to get set up. So my old GoPro, I don't know how much this is going to film, but I did do a time lapse on that, and my main camera battery run out. This is the first part. The white bits are not as much as it's the filler I'd used. I'm going to let this get a bit tacky, and then once it's tacky I'm going to try and do the full sheet that goes on the top. So I've got the canopy up and I've got the fiberglass down. It's been heated up a little bit just to get it set before the rain. Hopefully that's going to be alright, but I'm going to leave it this week now, so that's all done for this week. I'll be going home editing the video, and if you can just do me a favour, if you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and do me a great big favour and subscribe to the channel as well. It'll help you to be informed when I next release a video or any news, and it helps me out a lot. Thank you, and I'll see you again next week.